Fiji is a Melanesian country in the South Pacific, which consists of more than 300 islands. Most known for its rugged landscapes, palm-lined beaches, and coral reefs with clear lagoons, there's a lot more to Fiji than meets the eye. Did you know that Fiji is a massive producer of sugar, producing over 160,000 tons of raw sugar in 2018 alone? Fijians also love rugby and have one of the best teams in the world. And while in the West we tend to nod our heads to say yes, in Fiji it's common for locals to raise their eyebrows instead. What many people don't know is that Fiji has an incredibly interesting and tormented history. And I wanted to see how that history impacted the culture and their way of life. Given what the country has experienced, I wanted the non-sugar-coated perspective. But honestly, I was blown away with the life lesson I would walk away with.
Welcome to Fiji!
My time in Fiji was centered around the third biggest city, Nadi, which is one of the main ports for yachts checking in and out of the country. I'm being shown around by Denim.
Hi, I'm Denim. I run a small tour and travel company called Vale Travel here in Fiji. And this week we're going to show sailing Pivo around our hometown.
Denim has been coming and going from Fiji for over a decade now, and was the perfect person to give me the low-key details on the culture. So, we started our tour of the Sabetto mud pool and hot springs. So, we're at Sabetto Mud Springs.
Sabetto. The B is at Mba.
Okay.
Sabetto.
What was interesting about the springs was learning their history. One would think that such a site would have a strong and long cultural heritage. But alas, that appeared not to be the case.
Bula, everyone. I'm Lisa from Sabetto Mud Pool and Hot Spring. It was discovered by American soldiers during World War II. That's why we got a memory for them here. But now all the locals come to bath here, and we are running a business now.
And so apparently you have to let it dry to have the full properties. So now we're sitting in the sun, baking here, waiting for ourselves to dry. Looking, let's be honest, absolutely ridiculous. So this is the pool where you wash off all of the mud. And then you get into the next one, right? Yep. And then you keep washing it off, and eventually the water should be clear, but we'll see about that.
So the temperature is about 90, 98 degrees.
So we're at number 2. Make sure you look for the numbers. 3 that we're getting into. So this is the hottest pool of all, for sure.
Thank you.
I knew that there had been a lot of outside influence in Fiji, and it seemed that Lisa and her family were happy with the results of the American discovery. However, the history of Fiji goes much deeper, and I really wanted to see what that looked like. So we went off to the Sri Siva Subramania Temple, which is the largest Hindu temple in the Southern Hemisphere, located in Little Fiji.
So Swami Temple, I can't say the full name, is a Hindu temple. It's been here on its current spot for 38 years. It used to be over on the other end of town, but it was flooded out. So they moved it from that river to a different river, and it doesn't flood as much now. So every part of this is hand painted, and they have to repaint it every 7 years by hand. So it was last done in 2018, so we've got a few years yet until it has to all be done.
Starting in 1879 and going until as recent as 1916, the British brought over 60,000 Indians to Fiji as indentured servants to work in the sugarcane plantations. The Indians were promised passage home after 10 years of service, but many claim they were prevented from doing so by the colonial government and the sugarcane company. So 29% of the population here in Fiji is of Indian heritage. Sadly though, the cultures of Fiji and India are quite different and they clash, and so as a result there's a lot of tension. And what's interesting is when you talk to people about how they make hiring choices, a lot of people have mentioned race as being one of the top reasons. Like, I'll only hire an Indian or I'll only hire a Fijian, depending on what their cultural values are. So I guess, racism exists everywhere in the world. Despite the Indian influence, the nature of the 100+ inhabited islands of Fiji means that a lot of indigenous culture has still been preserved. And one of the best ways to see that is through fire dancing.
whenever you come to Fiji, you will find yourself being entertained by cultural dances and fire dancing. Fire dancing is actually not tradition to Fiji. It was brought over by one of the chiefs in Samoa, and he gifted the art of fire dancing to Fiji. So since then, it's cultural, it's passed down from generation to generation, but enjoy it anyway because it's amazing.
Now, by this point, I'm starting to notice something. There's some internal dialogue going on in my head that I'm coming to terms with as I tour around Fiji. You see, I worked in the humanitarian assistance and international development sector for over a decade, and this has really jaded my view of tourism to think anytime people from economically developed countries go into less economically developed countries, I should be wary of their impact. But something else is happening along my journey that I can't quite put my finger on yet. So, off we went to our next stop. Hey guys, so I am at Natandola Beach with Denim and her family, and this beach is really cool. It's supposed to be the best beach with the best sand in all of the main island of Fiji. And while you're here, if you want, you can ride a horse up and down the beach, I think for about $30, and then you can also get a massage for $50. And then Denim tells me personally that Rachel, the massage person, is really good, well worth your visit, and also one of the cheaper places to get it. So it was at Natandola Beach that I met Denim's friend Rachel. Side note, Denim knows everyone in Nandi. She truly is the human to connect to if you want to get a deeper perspective of Fiji.
Bulavinaka, I'm Rachel, and I'm doing massage over here at Natandola Beach.
How did you guys do during COVID?
During COVID, we were staying home because there's no tourists coming to Fiji. So we do farming, we go out fishing, and we do weaving and other indoor activities we're doing in the village.
But you must be glad that the tourists are back now.
Oh, we are so glad the business is open, international is open, and we are glad tourists are coming back, and here we are. Vinakavaka level.
I couldn't believe how thankful Rachel was to have the tourists back. Surely having tourists meant bad things for the environment, cultural exploitation, unequal infrastructure growth, and lots of foreign business owners greedily taking large profits, as I had heard so many times before in my career. I had already heard of a mangrove swamp that was to be completely filled in just to build up another resort. But alas, it was while buying ingredients for the Fijian delicacy, lovo, that I was to be challenged and proven wrong.
So lovo is cooked underground like a honey if you're in New Zealand. So we're going to get some chicken, some roro, a lot of coconuts, some dalo, cassava, some fish because it's perfect underground, and some little bits and pieces plus the kava. So this one is dalo or taro if you're from Hawaii. So we get, that's a root vegetable, and then we have the leaves, which is the roro. We're going to make a polasami.
It started with multiple vendors repeating the same gratitude for tourists that had been expressed by Rachel. They went above and beyond for me and all the other tourists.
See, I'm Angie from Palm Boy, Fiji, and I am dealing with the yotis for so many years.
So walked around the market, and I will say that this is the most colorful food here in the market. So if you are looking to get some food to your yacht, she can deliver, but you gotta get at least $100 order. So pair up with other yachties if you need more than that. She's definitely the person to talk to here if you need some food. So it's the roots, and there's the powder, and then it goes into this, and then it becomes kava. I was already not getting the experience I was expecting, with everyone being so grateful for tourists. But it was the impact of the tourists not being there that I was not expecting.
So you'll notice in the fish market here that a lot of the fish are quite small. So what happened during COVID? A lot of the staff weren't working, so they were out back in their villages fishing because they had no money. So they caught all the big fish, and if you go out snorkeling at the moment, you'll see that most of the fish are quite small. They still have to actually grow big enough The government's put a restriction on parrotfish so that you can't fish it at certain times so that can regrow the population.
Now, this is great. The icing on the cake, the experience that really made me see how genuine their gratitude was when Den and I joined a quad biking tour. Along the way, I did, well, something dumb.
And yeah, we're gonna go explore on the quad bike.
Y'all, this is the result of stupidity. This is why you shouldn't own a drone and be an influencer, because you'll crash your fucking drone into the tree and everyone climbs up for you.
Yeah, big stick. Oh, you can see the lights on.
Oh my God! Ah! You freaking heroes! Ah! Guys, thank you so much. Honestly, thank you. I seriously owed these guys a beer. So it was real. Fijians really were generous and grateful people. They really were thankful for all the tourists. I wanted to know more about why, though. What were their values? What made them tick? So Denham's family had agreed to allow me to film the process of a lovo and cooking a traditional Fijian meal. And they also generously answered all my probing questions. And it was during this time that I got answer after answer that went against my expectations.
Hola, my name is Nuku, and just want to explain about the lovo that we're going to be doing to you today. So today, basically the lovo is a traditional Fijian underground cooked oven that we do back in the village for functions like birthdays, marriages, all sorts of functions in the village.
Taro. Here in Fiji we call this tandalo. It's a root crop.
All right, so what is the most important value in Fiji?
For me is unity, like togetherness. You see how we live? We live together as a family. There's like brothers-in-law.
It must be tough, like living so far from villages, because I know that you're from Nandi, though, right?
No,
No?
we are from, we're all islanders. We're from different islands, part of Fiji.
So you have to be separate.
We're from Lau Islands, yeah.
How often do you go home?
We go home once a year. Or for special function, probably twice a year.
Yeah.
Most times that we go is around Christmas or New Year's.
For a long visit or short visit?
Probably 2 weeks maximum. Yeah, we travel by boat. Takes about 2 days, 3 days by boat.
Nuku and his family are dancers. They perform together as the Halava Entertainment Group.
We dance 6 nights a week, 1 day off.
It's good money?
Oh yeah, definitely good money. For half an hour, it's not that long, but we get just like a normal 8-hour worker in Fiji gets.
According to the World Bank, in 2021, Fiji hit its lowest per capita income since 2013 at $5,086. In that same year, though, New Zealand hit its all-time high per capita income at $48,801, and similarly in the US at $69,287. Alright guys, I can tell you from personal experience, don't eat the leaves when they're raw. I was warned, just so you know. They say it's because I'm American, so I'll take it. Some onions in there. Ooh yeah.
So yummy.
Oh, sorry, Lily.
No good.
What's your name?
Shelly.
Shelly? And you want to be on YouTube?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
So preparing a lovo is more of a family thing. The men, they have their part to do. The ladies, they do their part. And the kids, we usually give this to the kids, scraping coconuts, and that's the next step that the men do. So everybody is involved. It's like an early morning thing that the whole family participates in.
How is the family organized? Who's the most important person in the family?
Dad, but don't tell him.
We're more modern in how do I explain it?
In your everything
Yeah.
that you do,
Yeah.
your daily life.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's probably nature because we adapt to life, which is more modern nowadays.
Yeah. It's more like a fact than anything. It's not good
Yeah.
or bad, it's a fact of
Yeah.
life. Yeah. But I think everyone's doing this, right? Everyone's changing and adapting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we doing here?
So we breaking these banana trunks into pieces. Just we're gonna put it on top of the hot stones, just to keep the heat inside, because it has moisture inside. So we don't want too much heat. We want that equal heat inside. Flat bed.
So they're just checked for various outlets of smoke, make sure they're covered, make sure nothing is getting out, and where's it coming out? Oh my gosh, how precise. Now that we had the food prepared, it was time to do something that is incredibly popular in the Pacific Islands. Drink kava.
So if you're heading into a local village to be welcomed there, you need to take a kava root in with you, present it to the chief, and then he will let you into the village. You'll sit around, drink the kava together, and then you're accepted and welcome and part of the group.
And it's kind of like drinking a beer together. It's the same kind of thing, very casual.
Socializing, spoiling, making fun of each other.
And how does it make you feel?
Numb.
Numb?
Yeah.
In a good way?
Yeah, depends how much you can take. How much numbness.
Does it make you have different feelings depending on where you bought the root?
Yes.
Yeah?
Some places it's not as strong as some places.
Okay, and the really strong one will knock you out.
Totally. Knock you out or make you vomit.
Oh, shit. Does it affect men and women differently?
Yes. Some women can take it better than men.
And someone said it affects women in what way?
Differently, romantically. Makes things a bit exciting at night time.
Is there any stigma around kava?
As in?
Like, I mean, obviously it affects you the way alcohol does, so has it got stigma like that?
No, it's the opposite.
So it's very accepted.
We start our kava ceremony. We do a traditional Fijian chant just to open the kava, and then we usually give it to the eldest in the room, or for this case, the guest.
And bula.
Bula.
Bula!
And you do this even when you're drinking casually?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so what are the rules of pronunciation here?
Oh, okay, so the B is mba, so bula is mbola. See? They're laughing at my pronunciation.
As they should.
Yep. Okay, so it's not nadi, it's nandi.
So it's the N that you can't see.
It's not denaru, it's denarau. The G is pronounced ng, and a Q is nga. So here it says siga na leka, but it's actually senga na lenga, which means no worries.
Just as the kava was beginning to kick in, the food was ready to take out of the underground stove.
You can't open it up into a basket, right?
Yeah.
How excited are you to eat?
Very, 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 very excited.
These are two women who love food, so.
Maikana.
And we're in a house with other women who love food, don't we? Yeah? You love food too? Yes, heck yeah.
Good.
As if we don't already have enough food. And they're gonna set them out in plates. We're gonna eat outside, right?
Yeah.
By this time, I was giddy. I'd seen how they cooked a meal using one of their most traditional processes, had drank their most common drink, and had asked so many questions. I was beginning to get an idea of how the culture worked, and I'd gained heaps of respect for these people, and now I was about to share a meal with them. So you eat everything is right? Mm-hmm.
All in.
Is it good?
Yeah. So good.
It's good. So I'm just sitting here at the pool with the kids after we've had this lovely lovo, and we're gonna go back to the house tonight and watch a fire dance that Tanu, Denim's son, and David, the oldest, is gonna do for us. And I was just thinking about how lovely it was that they welcomed me into their home, and they made this really big and extensive meal for me, and we had kava, and they were just so open and sharing with me, and I had all sorts of questions about the culture and how they live, and they just had so much grace and generosity and how they answered everything. They were just so giving. So I just had this amazing experience with Denim's family, and I'm reflecting on how resilient they are. 3 generations, 2 married couples and their kids all living together in one home, sharing their resources. They're recovering from the worst economic crisis for their country in almost 10 years, and they're proudly talking about their dance group they run and sharing their home with me. Fijians have been some of the most generous and welcoming people I've ever met, and then this happens. Okay, so this is where we get into the Danielle, I can't believe you're putting this online space. Ha. You see, I have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I know, TMI, but it's relevant to the story. Something I ate in the day caused what is called in the IBS world a flare-up or an IBS attack. Anyway, thinking I had gotten food poisoning, the owner of the place where I stayed at, a European yacht owner, went into the most vitriolic series of diatribes against Fijians I have ever heard. It was the most blatant racist attack I've ever seen in my life, unquestionably racist. The worst part about it, I was so shocked I had no idea what to do or say. Sick and leaving in less than 48 hours, I ended up staying at their house. And I regret that. I wish I'd spoken up. So that's what I'm doing now. What you said, that was really messed up. You don't treat other humans that way. Humans, not animals. They're humans. Humans from the very start have been way more welcoming and kind than you ever were. Yes, I'd heard from the start I would never hire XYZ or ZYX race, but this statement only came from the expats. The Fijians, on the other hand, the consistent message I got was one of gratitude for the tourists returning. As one Fijian put it,
we here are privileged because we are out here almost in the modern. But back in villages, life is a lot harder.
Right after this trip, I went back to the US for the first time in 3 years, and it struck me how angry so many people were about where the US was going. Having been an activist for much of my career, I recognize that anger fuels action, and sometimes that action is necessary. But After seeing Fijians and how they treated people and how they went about navigating life, I got thinking that oftentimes we don't consider the social cost of that anger and how that social cost might be creating the problems we're angry about in the first place. To my mind, Fijians had every right to be angry and resentful, a country with an equally shitty history, equally shitty laws, and racism. And yet, not only were they not resentful, but they were happy, generous, grateful, kind people. Thank you guys so much for welcoming me. I had such a lovely time.
You just want to be on the camera, don't you?
No, it's only fine.
Say hello.
Hello.
Say hello, Leon. Is it good food? Yeah? Did it fill you up? Well, you can't block the camera. You can both be in the camera.